Want red beans and rice that taste real nice? Ask Corey, he got the story. Want to make lasagna better than your mama? Ask Corey, he got the story. Want blackened catfish to be your main dish? Ask Corey, he got the story. Want to make gumbo without all the mumbo jumbo? Ask Corey, he got the story. Want a king cake that ain't no fake? Ask Corey, he got the story. Want to make a poor boy that'll bring your mouth joy? Ask Corey, he got the story. Corey Rocan, Food 411.
Welcome back to Food 411. Today we're going to cook something special. So we have some guests coming over tonight, and I wanted to cook something really nice for them because we haven't seen them in a while. And for tonight's dinner, I chose to make a prime rib. Now, prime rib is something that's considered very fancy and very nice, and one would think hard to cook. But if you want to cook something really nice for your guests, and it's really easy, this is what you cook. So let's start and tell you a little bit about what a prime rib is. So I'll give you a little bit behind the scenes on steaks, because a prime rib is nothing more than just a big chunk of ribeyes. And depending on what kind of cut of meat it is, or the type of meat, the grade of meat rather, they have choice, they have select, they have prime, and then they have Kobe or Wagyu. We're going to talk about that on another day. We're not going to get in the weeds today. So if you go to your butcher or your local grocery store and you get a rib roast, depending on the grade of meat is what you call it. If you get select or choice, you're going to be calling that a standing rib roast. Only when you buy prime, the standard prime, then it's a prime roast, prime rib. So that's just a little technicality. Everybody really calls it a prime rib. So anyway, what we're going to do is we are going to prepare meat ahead of time. And you can do this 24 hours in advance or up to 4 days in advance. The longer really the better, but really not after about 4 days. Because what we're going to do is we're going to cut it, we're going to salt it, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator uncovered. And what that does is it kind of relaxes the protein molecules and ages it a little bit. So it just makes it even that much better. But just wait and see how easy this is. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be so tasty. And we're going to do something a little special with the potatoes. So come on with me. Alright, so what we have here is we have our prime rib. So yesterday early, what I did was, all I did was just trim the fat. You wanted about 1/4 of an inch. That's all the fat that you want. All the extra fat that you take it and you're going to cut it up into little bitty chunks. We're going to do something really special with this fat. We're going to make some special potatoes, and we're going to use the fat that drips off of this to cook the potatoes. It's going to be most delicious. After you've cut the trim off, you want to cut little cross hatches into the fat, about 1/2 inch apart. Do not cut the meat, just the fat. This will have to help the fat render down and melt into the meat. After you do that, we just took some kosher salt and just spread it evenly, stick it in the refrigerator for 1 day up to 4 days, and this is just going to help relax it and get it ready. That is it, folks. A little pepper. I'll just add a little fresh ground pepper on here. Okay. This part of the prime rib really is this simple. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cook it at 250 degrees, and we're going to cook it until the internal temperature gets to 115 degrees for rare, or 120 degrees for medium rare, And for prime rib, I really wouldn't recommend going any higher than that. So, get you a nice thermometer, put it in the middle, and then we're going to put it in the oven for 250 and just leave it alone until it gets to 115 degrees or 120 degrees, depending on your preference. We're going to take our fat that we cut. We're going to put it all on here. And what this fat's going to do is it's going to render down with a little bit of meat on it. It's going to be most delicious for the potatoes that we're going to cook later. So that's it. We're going to put it in 250. This is going to take about 3 hours. These things are usually about 5 to 7 pounds, so just depending on how big it is. We're going to set ours tonight for 120 degrees. So when this beeps, we're going to take it out and then I'll show you the next steps. See you in a few hours. Alright, so we just pulled this out of the oven. It's been in the oven exactly 3 hours. Perfectly timed. So we have the internal temperature to 120 degrees. So now, it's time to let this baby rest. We're going to put this on a cutting board, tint it with some aluminum foil, and we're going to let this rest for 1 hour. At the end of 1 hour, then we're going to take it and we're going to sear the outsides to make it really pretty. So, 1 hour. Now, what we're going to do next is normally you would take this juice and these drippings, hope you can see this, and the fat that we cut off earlier. Normally you would take that and you would make maybe, a pan sauce or an au jus or something like that. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to use Yukon Gold potatoes, and we're going to use this juice and the rendered fats to bake some potatoes. So, because we're doing that, we're going to have to make a different kind of sauce. So, if you want to stop here and use this for an au jus, we'll do a different show for that. For today, we're going to use these potatoes and cook it into the fat. That also will be a different show. So, stay tuned. 1 hour. We're going to cut up the meat. We're going to sear the meat, and then we're going to cut it up and present it to our guests. Stay tuned. Alright, so while the prime rib is resting, we have an hour. So what I did was I took about 4 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes and just cut them up in about 1-inch chunks. Yukon Gold we're using, they have a really thin skin on it, so you don't have to skin it. The skin just kind of mixes in and it's just very good and very flavorful. Yukon Gold you like to use because it's a good potato for mashing, making good mashed potatoes. And it's just very good for baking and mashing. So what I did was I cut up about 4 pounds of it, and what we're going to do, and pause, calm down, Corey. So you do want to do this after the meat is cooked. If you do this too early, it's going to start browning, oxidizing rather, and look pretty nasty. So we did it just now. I'm going to stick it in the microwave for about 7 minutes. Because what you want to do is you want to get it a head start on cooking. It starts to release its juices, and that's when it's ready. So we're going to give it about 7 minutes. Alright, so we just had our potatoes in there in the microwave for about 7 minutes. They just start to get a little bit shiny. They're starting to release some of their liquid. And I've got my reserved fat from the prime rib. And what you're trying to get is about a half a cup of complete oil. So it started to get a little bit hard on me, so I stuck it in the oven for just a second just to loosen it up a little bit. Got about a tablespoon of rosemary, all of my rendered fat bits, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to toss it all with my potatoes. So I'm going to add just a little bit of standard olive oil. You can use vegetable oil if that makes you happy. Alright. We're going to put about a tablespoon
of fresh rosemary. And we're going to put some salt and pepper. Now remember, the salt that we put on the prime rib earlier is all rendered down and it's mixed in with the fat, so it's got a lot of flavor to it. So you don't need to add a lot of salt. Maybe about a teaspoon and a half, maybe. Put some fresh ground pepper on it. The oven is preheated to 450. The prime rib is still resting. Everything's good. So we're timing this just right. So after I get this tossed, we're going to put this on the baking dish and bake it at 450 for about 35 minutes, 40 minutes. You'll know when it's ready. They'll start getting a little toasty brown on the outside. You stick a fork in it and it should just go in there so easily. That's when you know you're ready. And then we'll get back to that prime rib in a minute. We have one more step on the prime rib before we cut it. Boy, this is looking yummy. So you just want to spread this out as evenly as you possibly can. 450, 35, 40 minutes. See you back in a few. Alright, so we got this thing out. It's been resting for an hour. Heating some oil up. Just want to pat it dry. You can see, smells beautiful, feels beautiful. What we want to do is we want to get it to look beautiful. So we're going to just pan sear it on the outside. I just got a heavy pan, put some olive oil in it. Got the temperature up. And all we're going to do is sear it on all four sides, and then it's ready. Alright, so we're just going to sear all four sides, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Alright, so we seared all four sides, and this thing absolutely looks beautiful. It's nice and crisp and hot on the outside, nice and beautifully medium rare on the inside. I can't cut it right now because my guests are in the other room, but when I cut it, I'll show it to you. So, stay tuned. Alright, so we finished browning it. The guests are here. They're aggravating me. They're ready to eat. So let's cut into it and see what it looks like. Look, everybody's just all here.
Hurry up, man, I'm hungry.
See? Look at that. Perfectly done. Alright, until next time. See you.